Hey guys, welcome back. Today we're going to be going through the Blitz strategy, but I'm also going to be showing everyone how to forecast, what you need to keep in mind for forecasting on TikTok Shop, and then I'm going to be answering questions as we go along here. So any of the burning questions that you guys have when it comes to TikTok Shop, I will be answering as best as I can. And if I cannot get to those questions, I will get back to you afterwards with answers from my team. I have my handy dandy, all of my TikTok Shop knowledge up with me here as well. So if I can't answer a question, I've got all of my knowledge up on the side as well. So really looking forward to it. Again, for those of you who are live on Riverside, please put your questions in the side there. We're going to get to it. First, I want to go through the Blitz methodology. I have not talked about the Blitz in a few months here specifically. And so for those of you guys who are watching, I want to go through the Blitz methodology and let you know, this is still the methodology that we are using with every single client right now. The one that is absolutely crushing. This really replaces the sort of like low and slow type of way of growth. And if low and slow has worked for you, that is awesome. That is absolutely awesome. I'm not saying that it can't, but what I'm saying is that getting into this mindset of the Blitz methodology is really important for TikTok Shop specifically. And then interestingly, so at the agency that I own and run, we are using these marketing moments. We are omni-channel across all channels. Most people know us at Social Commerce Club for being one of the biggest TikTok Shop agencies. But what most people don't realize is that we actually work across all channels. And what we're really finding is using this same principle is really important, right? Using it across all channels. So if you guys don't know, I owned a bunch of brands over the years. And we use the same principle with those brands. And really what it comes down to is marketing moments, right? So if you can think about that, if you're going to take anything from this call today, it's, okay, how do we use marketing moments? And blitzes are those marketing moments, right? The reason why blitzes work is, let's just get into this here. Just give me one sec, everyone. Oh, sorry if you guys don't know me. There's some of my family. That's before my fourth. We just had a fourth baby. So fun, very fun. Oh, this is not even all of our logos. We got lots more great logos coming in, but yes, trusted by lots of really big brands, lots of publicly traded billion-dollar brands. We work with a lot of them. Let me just get through this here. All right. Let's talk about why this idea is so profound for marketing just in general, right? So I think that a lot of us have gotten into this mentality from so if you've been in e-commerce for a long time, I started in e-commerce in 2013. I was drop shipping hoverboards at the time, if you guys don't know. Hoverboards, super fun. And we've gotten into this mentality of sort of set it and forget it when it comes to Google ads, Facebook ads. I grew the first business, which was hoverboards. I actually never count that in the brands that I owned, but really did that with Google search. That didn't really need to involve marketing moments, right? And as we've gotten into this sort of world of actual brand building, moments become so ridiculously important. And that's what this methodology really does. And so the whole idea with the Blitz methodology is you're going to take, you're essentially going to seed out to creators and to whatever, one of the big missing moments. And guys, I'm just going to kind of be going through a lot of the sort of stuff that me and my team are talking about, what's working. I'm not really holding anything back. One of the big things that we're actually working on right now is creating marketing accounts on TikTok. So marketing accounts essentially are these third-party accounts that you own. So let's just say, for instance, somebody on the throw it a giant brand. I'm trying to not use one of the brands that we work with. So throw it a giant brand in the comments, and I'll kind of let you know exactly how this works. We actually got this idea years ago from a chocolate company, Tabs. There we go. Portland Leather. Awesome. That's great. If this is the Curtis, welcome. If this is Portland Leather Goods, Curtis. So for Portland Leather Goods, what we would have is, let's just say that we were trying to go after the Spanish community. We would have Portland Leather Goods Español, right? And so that would be the, that particular one that you actually own that TikTok account. So now you need to get to a certain level before you're allowed to actually be advertising TikTok Shop products, but you own that one. Now you can either use AI content, or you can actually hire somebody. Maybe it's somebody internally that you're going to be hiring. And for that, you're going to be you're going to be posting to that particular channel. Now, the whole idea is that you're trying to, so as we work with brands and especially bigger kind of brands, what we're trying to do is really get down the entire cost of sales to below 20%, which is really, really hard, but totally doable over a 6 months span. And what I'm going to show you in a little bit here as well is the forecasting tool that I've actually created to be able to show you how this actually works. What we're taking from is just brands that we have worked with before. We're reverse engineering some of the different levers that you can actually pull. So for Portland Leather Goods, we would create multiple marketing accounts and then either have awesome creators. So let's just say that it was a Spanish version. We would have Spanish creators or AI creators that are actually creating for that specifically. And with these marketing accounts, what you're trying to do is really test different angles. And you're trying to, like, very similar to meta ads, right? You're trying to get into these different groups, right? And so TikTok is going to start to show your content to Spanish speakers, right? So if that's somewhere that, you might be lacking, that's one different area. Now, let's talk about Portland Leather Goods specifically. So they're opening right now, and if this is Curtis himself, I'm sure he knows, they're opening a bunch of locations across right now, right? So one of the really big things that I believe about TikTok Shop is this halo effect, and specifically over to retail. And the retail one is actually really hard to measure, but really, really important. So what I would do is, let's just say that you're opening up in Beverly Hills, right? Probably a great location to open. Actually, I don't know if that would be a good location, but let's just say that you're opening in Beverly Hills. What we would have is Portland Leather Goods Beverly Hills. That would be the Beverly Hills account. Now, you're going to have people in that area specifically running to TikTok Shop, but you're going to be talking about Beverly Hills, things that are happening there. I shouldn't have picked Beverly Hills because I don't really know anything. It's like Rodeo Drive, or I don't know. So you're going to be talking about specific things in that area, but then always pushing back to the main TikTok Shop, right? So think of these so all of these different accounts. Now, Tabs did this, and they did hundreds of these different accounts. This methodology still works. So we're actually creating stuff like this right now using VO3, the newest VO3 API right now with Google, where we're actually creating AI accounts that do this, but then also interspersing human content in there as well. How do I feel about this as a human? I don't know, but this is something that we're doing to try to scale up content right now, because it's really, really hard to get the best possible content creators to work on these marketing accounts. But so this is one particular way that you can do it. So that is, that's just one sort of way that you can create these marketing accounts. Let's get back into seeding. So when you're going to seed, the idea is that you want to go to the top 200 to 300 creators. Sort of depends. Number one, your product cost, right? So somebody like Portland Leather, it's going to cost a little bit more to send these out. You may not necessarily want to send out to that many people. This is where live shopping comes in. So a brand like Portland Leather is really, really interesting. We were actually, very long story, but we are going to be working with an incredibly well-known consumer electronics company, and going to be doing a lot of work for them. Now, their cost of goods would be between $100 and $200 per item to send out. So for them, my recommendation is live shopping, right? The reason why live shopping is that you can get a lot more out of that. And interestingly, actually, right now, we are very, very close to putting together the biggest, I believe, in the world. I'm trying to do some research on how big China's live shopping venues are, but we're putting together a 400,000 square foot live shopping venue, because we really believe that live shopping, especially, works for brands like a Portland Leather Goods, like some of these really expensive, let's call them Dyson. It wasn't Dyson, but it was a company like Dyson, where the cost of goods is so much to send out, right? And so if you're getting 90% of people posting for you, still that 10% hurts when they don't actually post for you. So that is the tough thing. How many samples per week should you aim to send out? So let's go back to the Blitz strategy here for a second, because afterwards, my recommendation is really to continually ramp it up. And as I go through the tool, the forecasting launch tool, as I go through that, I'll show you sort of what my recommendations are as we go through it for a company like that. So in the Blitz methodology, the idea is that you want to send out to your top 200 creators. Now, if you have never done this before, you're obviously not going to have a mass amount of creators. The idea, though, is to build FOMO with these creators. And so you want to let them know, hey, we're going to be doing a Blitz launch on this particular day. Now, you have to pick a day and let them know. Do not post until this day, but get your content ready. And what I let them know is, hey, by the way, the best creators are creating between 5 and 10 videos, right? Whether that's true or not, tell the creators, right? That is how many the best creators are creating. We're also going to be putting X amount of dollars into the Blitz launch during that time. Now, the whole idea is that, like, if you think about this and you see this circle, right? The Blitz strategy really is a flywheel. Right. And TikTok Shop in general is a flywheel, right? A lot of people will try it out, put a little bit of money into it and be like, it doesn't work, right? Absolutely. If you're going to like kind of go a little bit into it, it does not work. It will not work for you. You do need to invest a decent amount. And when you look at the forecast tool that we're going to put in here as well, and that we're going to go through, I think you'll be surprised at how much money you really do need to put into TikTok Shop to get this flywheel going. Now, can you do it low and slow? Absolutely. But you are not, when you look and see the three different types of, like we go through, like conservative, balanced, or aggressive, when you look through that, you'll realize like, oh, okay, I think I actually need to be a little bit more aggressive. And we see it time and time again. The ones that are aggressive work. Now, we are working with a massive brand right now that wanted to go low and slow. And it's really interesting because we are still actually able to hit their exact numbers that we've been talking about as we're going through it, which is really interesting. We just finally, I think it took 2 and a bit months to get into 6 figures with them, but completely profitable. Contribution margins look great. So really, really interesting when we go through that. So anyway, for the Blitz methodology, the Blitz strategy in 10 seconds is like the Blitz methodology in 30 minutes. So seed out to everyone, right? Then you have your detonation day. And that is the day that you're telling everyone, post your videos in the next 48 hours. Now, my big recommendation during that time is set a budget, set a really big budget during that detonation time for ads. The reason is that TikTok is a platform that is all about their trending algorithm, right? And the idea that you're trying to get in this Blitz methodology is you're trying to show up everywhere on TikTok. The reason being, you want other creators, and remember, there's like 2.7 million creators from last time I checked that are live on TikTok Shop. You want the best creators, right? Because the best creators are constantly looking for the next big product. And maybe that's Portland leather goods, right? Maybe they're like, oh, sweet, I can get a lot more because the AOV is so much higher. Now, remember, when people say like, oh, High-AOV doesn't work on TikTok Shop, no, that is not true. Ninja, and I haven't checked in the last little while, but for a while there, Ninja was the top 2 out of 3 products, all over $200 US. So just remember that. And sorry, I say US being a Canadian. For us, that's a lot of money. So that is the whole idea there. So you want to detonate on that day, right? And you want to push as much possible budget into GMV max as you can. So the next question that usually comes up during this Blitz methodology is, and yes, we will totally get into a High-AOV strategy. Absolutely. It's going to involve some live shopping. It's going to involve less samples, right? You're not going to send out 200 to 300 samples a week unless you are getting the return on it, right? If you're getting the return on it at that point, it's just, again, at the beginning, you really want to make sure that you are getting the best possible creators with High-AOV. Now, because GMV max is basically everyone's here's only option, we do with some of the like sort of more like, they're called like global key account brands. Those ones, they do 4 billion and above. Those ones usually have access to some of the other tools, but honestly, GMV max generally is pushing the most amount of spend. Now, during this time, you want to lower your target return on ad spend as low as humanly possible to get as much distribution as possible. Your goal during this time is to not even break even. Your goal is just to get as much distribution as possible because you're trying to get into becoming a trending product and you're trying to get people from outside, right, to look in. These are creators from outside to look in and want to work with your brand. So that's a really big part of this, right? Is you're trying to get these creators, the high GMV creators, who generally will go after products that they think that they can make the most amount of money on. Remember, this is, again, a huge part of this is that you are not selling to customers at this point, right? With TikTok Shop, and that's another part of this building this muscle, you're not selling to creators. You're not selling to consumers. You are selling to creators. The whole thing is set up for you to sell to creators, right? And if you can get the creators on board and then get them selling, that is where you're going to start to work this flywheel, and it becomes incredibly interesting. Then we go and then we start iterating, right? And this is where marketing moments really come in. And there's a lot of brands that really understand this, especially brands that drop new colorways often, right? So I was in fashion for a long time with the brands that we owned, and we would constantly be dropping little iterations of things. TikTok Shop is the perfect place for you to drop iterations of things. In fact, some of the big brands that we work with actually run all of their promos through TikTok Shop first. A brand that we're working with, I think it's today or tomorrow, somewhere around there, are actually doing a Wicked collaboration, which is really fun. My kids think I'm super cool because of it, which is really all that matters in this life. That and my wife, thinking I'm cool. And they don't, just, they don't care at all. They think this live shopping venue thing is pretty cool though, because we're going to go out there for it and see this massive thing. So my recommendation is to test your product drops on here. A really incredible way to do that is through TikTok Shop. Now, the reason why is because creators want to be able to sell products that people can't get anywhere else. So let's just say that you are doing a collaboration with Disney or somebody like that. Even if your margins are really tight for this collaboration because you've got, I don't know, let's say you're giving them like 7% or something, right? Even if your margins are really tight, I highly recommend getting it going on TikTok Shop first, because you're going to have that halo onto your other channels when you then release on those channels. You can also tell the creators, hey, by the way, we don't want you we don't have this product available anywhere else. That will get the best creators to come on board. You as a brand love the halo effect. Creators do not like the halo effect. Just so everyone understands, they do not like the halo effect. By the way, for those of you who are wondering, we're getting really, really close with the halo tool, growhalo.ai. The landing page is there. The tool is really, really close to being sort of where I want it in beta. So if you guys want to get a hold of that tool, essentially think it's in between a multi-touch attribution and an MMM, something really lightweight in the middle of that to really understand how TikTok Shop, how Facebook ads, how all of it actually affects Amazon. Because at the end of the day, really Amazon is where we're seeing the majority of this halo effect. We're seeing it over onto D2C as well, but the majority of it is really happening over onto Amazon, just so everyone sort of understands how this halo is working. And then really, it's now rinsing and repeating these moments, right? So what we recommend is using the Blitz strategy over and over and over and over. Now, I'm going to go into and again, make sure to throw questions in here. Let me actually answer a couple of these questions before we keep going here. I've got a couple of questions. So how many samples should I aim to send per week? So it really depends what your budget is, right? This one today, we're talking about 0 to 1 million. You're going to be having to send a lot more samples, but I'll show you this tool that I built recently. By the way, if nobody is using Google AI Studio, you can build like functioning apps very, very fast. And it is wild with all the different stuff. I won't go through that today, but like you can build a ton of, fairly easy stuff like I did with this. This took me about an hour, maybe an hour and a half to create. So just so you guys are aware. Let's go through that when we talk about forecasting how many samples to send out, because it's really going to make a bit of a difference in how many video views you're going to get, et cetera, et cetera. If I send samples to creators and they do a video, how do I get them to post more than just one? That is really where human psychology comes into this. Actually, right before this call, by the way, I was on with Sarah Levenger. If you guys know Sarah is amazing. Brands, if you can get into Sarah's calendar and you can somehow get her to help you with that psychology piece, it's really, really important. And at the end of the day, it really comes down to a sales psychology of getting the creators to buy in, right? So letting them know, oh, by the way, this person at video 6 ended up hitting 1 million views and that video made them $20,000, right? Whatever that is, whatever that story that you can tell them to get them to post more. Our goal at Social Commerce Club is 5 videos per sample. Oftentimes we're well above that. Another way that you can do that as well is contests. So contests are massive, right? If you can get people into your WhatsApp group, into your Discord, whatever that is, wherever you're going to house people. Now, remember, that has to be off of TikTok. Please do not have it. And if there's any TikTok people watching this, just know, you guys don't have any good tools yet to keep people in platform. We need to get them off platform. My recommendation is still WhatsApp, though we are playing around with Discord right now at Social Commerce Club as well. So I am not biblical when it comes to any of this sort of stuff. So really at the end of the day, it's trying to encourage them to post more, because what's in it for them, right? So like at the end of the day, that's all that you're thinking of is what is in it for the creator. And that is what you're going to do. So continually sending out more blasts to them, letting people know, getting people really excited within your WhatsApp or your Discord group. Oh, by the way, this person, Katie, she posted this thing and posted this one video and she made $17,000. That's crazy. Why don't you guys all try out this video? And then everyone's like, oh, wow, I want to make $17,000. And so they go and they do that. Some of these creators are making monster amounts of money. Some last year paid off their houses. It's wild. Those are the people that you want to not piss off, number one, right? And a lot of brands end up pissing them off because they change their structure as far as like what they're paying out with affiliates and all of that kind of stuff. So making sure that you have them in some sort of community is incredibly important, that you can message them one-on-one. And that's where you're going to send out blasts. That's where you're going to like reach out to them manually, right? So one of the like really great ways that you can do that is have a VA just going through WhatsApp and reaching out to each person, right? And just like letting them know, hey, just wanted to say like, loved your last video. Here's a video that did well. Let me know if you like want any help with that or anything. Oh, by the way, we've got a contest going, right? Contests, again, absolutely crush. If you see some of the different things and some of the different psychology that's gone into some brands, Goldie is a really good example, right? Goldie had the Goldie Rollie. It's a Rolex, by the way, in case anyone's wondering, for people that hit a certain level, right? So having fun things like that, when you think about it at the end of the day, it's really, really good money that you spend on these contests because you get people incredibly involved. Sometimes what we'll do is we'll just have a number of videos contest. And so we had somebody recently in one of the contests that we ran over a weekend posted 100 videos. And they won the contest. They also generated a ton of GMV for the brand. So those are some of the different things that you can do. Again, remember, like for bigger brands, and I know a lot of bigger brands watch the stuff that I do. Just remember, for bigger brands, this is a lot of work. You will need multiple full-time people in-house doing this, right? Number one, to handle the creators. Another question actually that I get from some bigger brands is, can this be the same person that does my normal influencer seeding? My answer is absolutely. Just remember that creators are built differently than Instagram influencers. They are not the same kind of person. They are not, I would say Instagram influencers are becoming a lot more business people. Creators on TikTok are not quite there yet. So just so you guys know. Would love to discuss more High-AOV strategy. Yes, absolutely. I will get into that in a little bit here. What metrics do we look for in content for paid promotion? Everything. TikTok's algorithm is so much better than your human brain will ever be. I'm sorry to say, not you specifically, my human brain too, like all of our human brains, their algorithm is phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. And so really just putting in every single Spark code into so number one, the majority of people should have ads checked off, but there are still a lot of creators that will require you getting the Spark code from them. So making sure to get every single possible Spark code that you can, because so if we think about this like on the meta side, right? Zuckerberg has said that his plan is to have personalized advertising for every single person. When you think about the way that the TikTok algorithm works, it's very, very personalized. So the more videos that you can get in, just because you don't think that it works, you're just obviously not the target demo. So get as many possible videos as you can in. So I don't even want to tell you the metrics to look for, because that's not how this works with GMV Max. GMV Max is really good at picking different Spark codes and different ads to serve to different people. So don't worry about that. Just put as many possible ones in as you can. Your job is to get as much possible creative out of, number one, your marketing accounts, like we talked about before, and number two, out of your creators, right? And so getting as many possible videos, that is the goal. That's the thing that you can control, right? I'm doing with my family right now, going through 7 Habits. I read it every year. Habit 1, be proactive. Figure out what you actually have control over and do that thing. You do not have, don't waste your time on worrying about the marketing metrics. GMV Max is just taking care of all of that for you. Claire asks, do you use, let's put this one out there and show it on the stream. Do you use something like Yuka or I think it's Curva, is that right? For outreach and creator management? Yes, I am a big Reacher fan. I was actually their advisor I still advise them. I really am betting on them. They are building just some insane stuff. Their engineering team is phenomenal. If anybody wants an intro to Bora, let me know. I have some sort of Jordan code. I don't know what it is. Just tell them Jordan will send you and they'll give you some kind of discount. So that is, that's there. What approach would you suggest for a brand that's at 0 creators today? So the Blitz method, right? The Blitz method that we just talked about, that is the methodology that I would recommend. The reason why is it really gets you off the ground with creators. And I think that's really, really important to do. So I am going to show you guys my forecasting tool here, and we're going to walk through some of that. We'll use, for instance, so I have Gymshark as the brand, but what we're going to do is let's instead, because it was fun before, we're going to use Portland Leather Goods. And we're going to go through here. I'll make sure that I get that URL right because... Okay, good. I'm just in a different tab for anyone wondering. Just getting this URL. Perfect. So in this, I have a bunch of averages, right, as we go down here. So there's a bunch of different averages. I will actually go through just so everyone can sort of see what I'm actually looking at here because I think it's super, super important. So product AOV. So the higher the AOV, the better that you're going to do. For PLG, I'm assuming, anyone know kind of what an AOV at PLG would be? Just because we're going to use them as the example. 120. Perfect. Thanks, Nancy. So let's go 120. Cost of goods. Let's put it at, I'm guessing 25%, just because I think they got things down. Thank you, Curtis, as well. Shipping per order. Let's assume it's around the sort of $5 mark. Let's say cost per sample. So 25% for one sample. So we're looking at, sorry, I don't know your numbers, just so you guys know. I don't know your numbers. Perfect. 30. Great. Somewhere around where we were going to go there. Great. TikTok Shop Creator Commission. We'll start it at 15%, just so you guys can see. Let's start at a 2 baseline paid return on ad spend. That is fairly conservative, to be totally honest. Let's say existing creators and community. I'm sure that for PLG, we would have, probably a couple hundred creators at least. Let's just say 100 in there. Let's say videos per month per active creator. We'll call that 3. We'll say average views per video. Honestly, we see about 9,000 as being a fairly good average per when we look across a lot of creators. 9,000 seems to be about the number. Click-through rate is 1.5. Again, that's a little bit low. Let's put our conversion rate a little bit lower. Let's go down to 1.5%. Platform fee is 5%. Let's just pretend like there's no agency fees whatsoever in here. And then we've got a whole halo effect side here too, which we could go through. Perfect. Let's go ad spend. We'll start at 20,000 and then we'll continue to go up from there. Here's some creator incentives. We have 5,000, 7,500. So we've got one for each month that goes through, and then we've got some retainers as well. And then we'll do the primary objective being balanced. It's going to go through, research the brand, and now we're going to spit out exactly where our break-even points are going to be and where we're going to be. So I want everyone to notice that you will be losing money at the beginning, right? Just so everyone knows, you need to invest in this channel first. I would never want somebody to think that you're going to make money on day one. So let's take a look here up at the top. And it looks like our break-even GMV on a balanced scenario is about 171,000. That's where, based on what we talked about below, for Portland Leather Goods specifically, I'm so glad I have you guys as an example. In a balanced sort of approach, this is where that comes from. Now, interestingly, our aggressive approach, the break-even is actually higher. What you guys can't, I think you guys can see that here. This is the really interesting thing here. And I know people, I saw Brian McDonald on LinkedIn yesterday was ragging on me. It was actually from a week ago, but I hadn't seen it before. Was ragging on me for these numbers. But this is the really interesting numbers. And this is why, again, we work with a ton of enterprise brands. This is what they're super interested in. So when you look at this here, and let's just go with the balanced approach just so everyone can kind of see here. This is the extra media value just from TikTok videos at a $30 CPM, which is really, really reasonable, just so everyone knows. Like last time Q4 CPMs were somewhere in the $38 range for paid ads. So just remember, I consider these CPMs more valuable when they are creator, like when they're essentially sparked, right? When it doesn't come from the brand itself, I consider these CPMs, these are more effective CPMs in my mind. Again, we could argue that all day long, but that is kind of where I'm at. So when you look at this, the 6-month extra media value alone from this balanced approach is almost $6.5 million of extra media value. Now, for small brands watching this, you're going to say to yourself, well, what does that matter? What does that matter at all? And I'm totally with you. For the small brands, like that extra media value, if you have not built a brand for somebody like Portland Leather Goods, this is actually going to be incredibly valuable for the halo, specifically with having retail locations everywhere, right? That media value is incredibly important as you start to look at in person and seeing how all of that flows down to other areas. So let's take a look at this. So I know that there's a lot going on here, but let's just take a look. So this is really a conservative kind of approach. So with a return on ad spend of 2, we can see, I just want everyone to notice, right? This is what you really need to understand. And some of you guys might be in this trough of despair right now. Look at the first month, negative 57%. Look at the second month, negative 30%. Look at the third month. And remember, we base this off of the brands that we work with long term. So this is what we tell people. We're like, you're not going to break even until at least month 4, right? And in month 4, we start to get much better returns, right? And what we can see here too is as we increase the ad spend up, right, in the $75 range, or sorry, $75,000 range, we're going to actually start to see our ad percentage and our channel cost go down. Now, really interestingly, some of the biggest brands that we work with, their channel cost started out in this sort of range here, like just massively high channel cost. So channel cost is all of the costs that go into TikTok Shop specifically. And this is why people hate on it at the beginning, because they can't run these long-term numbers and realize, oh my gosh, this flywheel is something that we need to be pushing. Zaid, I'll give this calculator to you guys. I just got to figure out how I can do it. It's just built again with Google's AI Studio. So I'm pretty sure I can just give you guys this URL and you guys can play around with it. I'll just do that. I'll just drop this URL in so you guys can all play around with this afterwards. So you can actually see where exactly this is. Again, if you're not working with an agency, just take the agency fees out, all of that. Now here's what we're going to look at. Let me just walk through because I think it's super, super important for you all to see here. So this channel cost right now, right at the beginning is like, 106%, 89%, 69%, 57%. The best brands that we work with, their cost of sales is below 20% at mass. Like I'm thinking of a brand that did 3 million-ish last month that we work with. Their cost of sales is below 20%, guys. And it just gets better and better and better and better, especially as we start to bring in these marketing accounts, which we're not paying any percentage on. We're just paying ads on. I just haven't seen anything like this in a long time, but it's because brands are really scared in that first 3 to 6 months, right? Like this is where things come from. And so if you can start to see here, in month 4, we actually start to hit platform profitability, right, with this plan. So it's just a matter of following this plan. I also with this, and it's not 100% awesome yet, but what I do have here, and I'll just give you guys this link, is you can generate the 90-day plan right there. And it will go through and generate the plan. I'm not quite pumped on how it is yet. I have to spend a little bit more time with it. But what you can start to see here is we also have in here the halo calculation. So let's go back down to the recommended one here. And I was really, really conservative with this halo calculation. But look at this, right? This is massive amounts of halo that we're seeing. And this is, again, something that we're going to be able to measure with the growhalo.ai tool. We're going to actually be able to measure this in a better way. But what we've done instead is taken well below averages of what we're seeing across the board with our clients and taking a look at that. So here is some of the halo. We don't even have retail halo in here either, right? So for brands that have retail, this is a massive part of this. There's some brands that we work with that are just super happy to break even because their retail partners are seeing mass amounts of reorders, right? And we're talking in like 7-figure, monthly sort of terms where they're re-upping all of their orders if they don't have their own retail. Now, if you have your own retail, we can calculate all of this, right? My recommendation, again, for like a PLG, like use like a really good MMM to measure this stuff if you want, right? If that's what you want to do. If not, corollary data is just fine when it comes to this, in my opinion. And I know people are like, oh, I can't believe you would say that, correlational data. But correlation in a lot of ways does equal causation, okay, for you medical people out there. So as we can see here again, with this plan here, platform profit, we're at month 4 are starting to break even, which is really, really great. What we can also see here is projected video views. This is the massive part, right? So 41 million video views, and this is very similar to what we're seeing across the board as we continually get into this sort of level of ad spend and this many samples. So somebody asked me before about the amount of samples that we would send. So let's take a look here, and here is where we have our number of samples. So 313, and included in this calculator, by the way, is the cost of these samples, right? So we can see that this was, Curtis had told us that it was $30 per sample. So we can see we're sending out $9,000 or close to $10,000 worth of samples. This one here is $16,000 worth of samples. This is gold, guys. This is money well spent. This is the kind of cash that you want to spend every single day, in my opinion. So just so everyone is aware, really, really important to look at this, because at the end of the day, I mean, like, you could blow 16,000 on Meta in a heartbeat, right? Versus getting this into the hands of 563 net new creators, right? And this is why people don't succeed on TikTok Shop, because they don't realize how much it actually takes. These are one on top of the other, by the way, just so everyone knows. So like 313 the first month of samples, 563 the second month. We have a big bump in month 2. And it's just because after month 1, we can start to learn, okay, who are the people that we should be going after? And then what new categories do we want to get into? That's the whole idea with these creators, right? And like I talked about with the marketing channels before, is how do we actually want to go through, who do we want to actually go after? And like, which silos do we have to go after? So we're going to find creators in those different silos. Again, just because we were talking about Portland leather goods, maybe it's like, hey, we want to actually go after some male creators that are in this sort of range. I think PLG is probably like generally, I think like millennial mom / millennial, person, woman. I don't know why I paused there. But that's really at the end of the day who you would normally go after. This is a way to start to go after different areas, right? And we've done that with some really big brands as well, where we're like, hey, maybe at this point we could get a Sydney Sweeney type to post. Not saying Sydney Sweeney herself, though that has happened. But then a different person that we're going to get in a completely different area. That's kind of what I'm looking at right now and what I'm seeing. So this is where we can start to see our cost of samples, our creator incentives. This creator incentives also is a little bit low, in my opinion. $5,000 for the first month. Just imagine, right? For creator incentives, you run a contest, right? One single contest. Now, here's like a kind of an interesting idea for a contest is like, let's call it like a Disneyland contest. And so you're going to give away a trip for a family of 5 to Disneyland, which could be really, really cool. Really great creator incentive. Super cheap, by the way, when you think about it. So somebody to get into this contest has to post a minimum of, let's say, 20 videos. Whoever posts the most videos is going to win. Maybe whoever drives the most amount of GMV is going to win. I like ones where they are able to actually affect the outcome. GMV is a lot harder to affect the outcome than just the amount of videos posted. And the videos have to be a certain type of video as well, which I think is kind of is interesting as well. So yes, perfect. So that is kind of like what we're looking at as far as projecting this out. If any of you guys out there want this, what I'm going to do is feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn or Twitter, and I will personally give you this this projection calculator. So reach out to me right now, LinkedIn, Twitter, and I will give this calculator to you. Yeah, I just got to make sure that it's going to work with AI Studio outside of where we are right now. I'm pretty sure this is a public link, but that's why I don't want to give it to you right now, because I don't want you being able to mess around with the code of this. I'm not a developer, everyone, so this is all just vibe coding that we've created. And then after this comes a 90-day plan that it will generate for you, specifically for Portland leather goods, because we have the URL. I'm not going to show it to you right now because I'm not super impressed with it quite yet, but it's getting there. All right. I think that that is good for my portion of the presentation. Any other questions that we have? I'm going to get to Elle's question here. I love the idea behind the TikTok Blitz strategy. Let's just show on the screen here. But how can new sellers reach out to so many creators from cold start when TikTok limits messaging before they've made any sales? Absolutely. This is where you're going to have to start to reach out to some different groups. So there's a lot of different groups out there. You can search TAPs, TikTok Shop Affiliate Partners. So that's one place that you can go to. The other one too is creating your own content, right? So a really good strategy during this time is just to create as much content as humanly possible for your own brand during this time and create these marketing channels that I talked about. So that's one really good way to do that. The other thing too is getting sales. Once you get sales on your actual listing, so you don't have to necessarily, like, you could try, like, right before that, you could actually start to get a few sales. So get some friends and family sales. There's some services out there that are grayish hat that will also get some sales on for you. So those are ways that you can kind of start to get the flywheel going, and then you remove all the messaging limits. So that's how we do it at Social Commerce Club. We're never really worried about that because we just use some of those sorts of ideas. So making sure some other people buy through affiliates. It's really important that they buy through an affiliate link. So somebody has to have it in their showcase and then actually click through. So that's another thing there. Any other questions for people who are live here? How would your advice be to find quality creators? Number one, when to find high quality creators, you need to be using one of the third-party tools. Again, for me, I just love Reacher. They've created some really cool stuff, especially with AI. So they're using AI vision to go through and actually look and see what people post about. So it's not based on the categories that, like, there's just these really broad categories that TikTok Shop has, right? Like makeup, for instance, right? But you want specific people for makeup, and they have their AI categories go through and actually like scrape these people, and they are phenomenal at actually being able to find high quality creators. At the beginning, you're not going to be able to get the highest amount of quality creators, or you're going to have to pay some sort of fee to these creators, like some sort of, what do you call those things? Retainers, to these creators to post for you. They're not going to do it for free because you have no value to them yet, because you have not shown yet that you are going to be able to generate GMV, and they don't want to take a risk on you because they have 100, 1,000, they have a million other brands reaching out to them at all times where they could actually make money, and people that are willing to pay them retainers. So I wish that retainers would not be involved in this. But sometimes they are. And that's where, we go back and forth and do a lot of negotiating, especially like group buys with Social Commerce Club, where we're like trying to get these retainers down. So Curtis asks, have you created a complex content traffic reward system from $10,000 to a car, to a Lambo, to a house? So we have not gone there yet. Those exist out there. I would love to, especially for specifically for Portland leather goods. Awesome way to do this. Just work the numbers backwards, Curtis, right? To figure out like exactly what it's going to take for people to do that. I'd probably do that more on a GMV basis. The idea also, like one of the ideas as well, is like, just have an insane moonshot number for them for a Lambo, right? Like, especially like if Lambos are still working for Mr. Beast, they're going to work for creators. So having like a moonshot number. So if you think about like, let's say, how much US is a Lambo, everyone? I don't even know. Was 300K? Let's just say it's 300K. I would set an insane number. If you push $3 million of GMV, we're going to buy you your choice of Lambo, of color Lambo. That is the way to do it. So that's where I would be, is like just really trying to work and see like, okay, well, how much percentage am I willing to pay to get this flywheel going? And that is what I would do. I mean, like even like a house, I mean, that's wild, right? If you put something like that together, just make sure that the bar is incredibly high, but also like kind of reachable for them. So we've seen that work really, really well with some of the bigger brands. We have not yet done that at Social Commerce Club. I would love if a brand came to us and wanted that, wanted to put something like that together, like giving away a house or a Lambo or something huge like that. Oh my gosh, yes, I would like push to do that. What do you recommend for Canadians trying TikTok Shop, even though it's not yet here available? Here are the steps. Go get a Delaware Corp or wherever you want. Delaware is just the easiest possible way you can do it. You can do this through Stripe Atlas. So not ChatGPT Atlas, which I also love, but Stripe Atlas does this. You go in, create your corp in there. It's really, really simple. Then you get an EIN, and then you have to have an American actually vouch for you or put their name up, and they're going to have to put their passport in. So you're going to have to find your favorite American. And us Canadians all have our favorite Americans that are willing to put their name in there for that. That's how you get in as a Canadian. And then making sure that when you're posting content that you're using a VPN, number one, and number two, an American SIM card. I recommend actually just going over the border, like just go plan a trip, go buy one, get an American phone plan, and then bring it up to Canada with a VPN on at all times so that you can actually post into the States. So that's the way. It's totally doable and much easier than it was, let's say, a year ago. How do you find your code for Reacher here? I think it's Jordan40. Either Jordan 40 or Jordan 20, something like that for Reacher is my code. So you can do that there. Any other questions for you guys? Hopefully this was helpful. I didn't even have my second coffee here, but could have used it. When starting out, do you recommend targeting new buyer personas or sticking to the ones that are working? Stick to the ones that are working first on TikTok Shop. And then they'll naturally spread out to more, but you cannot be, Nancy, you just can't be picky at first, unless you're a big brand that people know and love and want the samples, right? If that is the case, then absolutely. But I would try and stick to your tried and true ones. They're all going to be on TikTok, by the way. Like a few years ago, I would have said like, no, they're not, it's just the Gen Zs, but everyone's on TikTok now. Everyone's spending a lot of time over there. So you can have whatever you want. Any other questions from you guys out there? How much content are we posting during our detonate stage? So for you as a brand, my recommendation is to post as much content as humanly possible during that time. Like I'm talking like 100 videos. TikTok is not, they don't get hurt if you post more than 10 videos a day, right? But like post as many as you can and then get your creators to post as many as possible. So like tell them, during that time is a really good time to run a contest as well for posting just a lot of videos. The idea is that you're trying to get GMV max as much content as possible to feed to people, right? Remember, it's an AI machine that constantly needs more content. The more learning that it gets, the better that it's going to be. And the higher you're going to be able to put your target return on ad spend. We have we have a brand that we're working with where our target ROAS is 9 on platform. I think it's somewhere around that. And they're doing like millions of dollars a month. So it can totally get there. These results are not normal, folks. But just letting you guys know that you can get there, especially if you've got a brand that people start to love and is not just a product brand. Now, for people that are just selling like, if there's any like white label product people out there that isn't like that unique, you're going to have a much harder time. But if you have a brand, this is just the most incredible time to get on. Anybody else before we go today? And I hope that this was helpful for you guys. Okay, I got a couple more here. What countries can you actually set up a TikTok shop? Peter, that is a very good question. And I don't know all the ones that are available right now. I know Mexico, Brazil. We're looking at partnerships with other agencies in those areas as well. Are some of the newer ones, the UK, I believe Spain as well. Don't quote me on that. That's probably a ChatGPT question for right now because there's a bunch opening. I know not Canada, and then US as well. Yeah. How do I recommend the slow grow approach with higher AOV products with golf clubs? Zach, such a good question. And golf clubs. I love golfing. I had a shoulder injury this year, so I couldn't golf. It was terrible, but my shoulder's getting better. So excited about that. You could send me golf clubs anytime you want. I'll make nice content for you. Just kidding. I mean, no, I'm not kidding. So with that, I recommend lives. So that's where lives really come in because you do not want to, and that's where like this venue that we're building is just phenomenal. It like will be big enough where you can actually show off these golf clubs in a live sort of environment. That is my recommendation, is find as many live streamers as you can. You don't want to be sending out a bunch of samples, right? Obviously that's not going to work. And you can't just get somebody to green screen your product in the back. They have to actually physically have your product. So you cannot do that. So my recommendation is find live streamers instead. So start live streaming now. There's a couple of brands that we're working with. Their goal is to live stream 24/7, which is wild, right? So not saying that you need to start there, but set something up where you can live stream talking about it, get some local people, Zach, right? So that's where I would start. And then get a hold of us as well. Like we're going to be launching some beta tests right now with this biggest live shopping venue in the world, I'm hoping, where you're going to be able to actually hire people that are local to where this venue is. I don't want to give away anything with that. So that's what I would recommend with high AOV products is don't do as much sampling like we talked about here. Instead, do a lot more. You're going to have to pay an hourly rate, right, to live streamers to be able to do that, or give them a big chunk of the commission that comes in and start to put money behind those live streams instead. So that's where the high AOV products come in. Now, there are some high AOV products that you can do this with, like we talked about with Portland Leather Goods. 100%. Get that thing out there as much as you can. You can see, I mean, you're spending $20K a month on samples, like very, very worthwhile. Yes, George, I will be sharing the recording. These go live on YouTube usually within the week, depending on how my video editor is. And he is swamped because I have so much content going out there right now. For a smaller company limited on ad spend, then GMV max and spending to the tune of 20K per month isn't a big option for us. Absolutely. Maybe TikTok Shop isn't right for you, right? So you can go low and slow though as well. And you can get really creative. You're either going to pay in time or money. Those are just the two options, right? So it sounds like you're going to need to pay in time. So for you, it's going to be about making a ton of content, finding the content for your competitors that work. So I recommend looking at Fastmoss or Calidata. Big Fastmoss fan. We've partnered with them on quite a few things. Looking at them, look at your competitors, look at people in your space and start making content like theirs that is crushing. So just look at their outlier content, right? Remember, TikTok Shop is the 80-20 of the 80-20 of the 80-20. It is like the Pareto principle on steroids, and looking at that. So that's the big thing there. What is the best strategy for more low value goods? Everything I've talked about here, Peter. So this is a really good strategy for everything low value. In the $30 to $50 range, just get as many samples out there as you can to start figuring out who's going to be good and then work more with them, right? And try and get more samples into their hands and people that look like them as far as audience is concerned, and then start to go out from there. Great question. All right, guys, I am going to wrap it up there. Thank you, everyone, so much for coming. If you guys are watching this on YouTube, just drop your comments below. I try and get back to those usually within 24 hours if I can. And yeah, I hope that this was super helpful. If you guys want this forecasting tool as well, you are going to need to reach out to me on LinkedIn or Twitter. So if you guys are watching this on YouTube, you're just going to have to find Jordan West over there, Jordan West Ecom, something like that. And I will give it to you there. Personally, I'll give you this tool, and I hope that you enjoy it. And thanks so much, everyone, for coming. I hope it was helpful. Bye, guys.